Hey, welcome to For the Story, the only podcast that was the fourth Beatle, John Legend. I'm Avery.
And I'm Ash. And we watched the film,
I can only think about Harry and the Hendersons now.
Yeah, The Meaning of, or good. Life of Pi. Or the Meaning of Pi. What's the name of that? Is it The Meaning of Pi?
The Meaning of Pi, yes. No, we watched, oh God, I can't remember now. No, we watched Monty Python's The Meaning of Life.
Monty Python's The Avengers, Disney's The Meaning of Life, a Star Wars story. Afterlife.
Resurrection. Yes, that's right. We're here. We talked about a movie that is somehow not part of a cinematic universe. Is Monty Python even a real person?
Yeah. Well,
these questions and more on this episode of For the Story.
What's Monty short for? Now that I'm thinking about it,
Montgomery.
Is it Montrez?
Montel.
Oh
That's God. A very British sounding name.
Is it Maury? Maury Povich? Monty? Maury? Same guy?
Think you're onto something. Maury Povich is The Meaning of Life.
As it turns out, you
movie.
Are the father.
Oh, very different movie. Great. So here we are. We're talking about movies. Sort of. I mean, I think we just talked about nothing for like 2 minutes there, but we're here. We did watch Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. I have to like slow myself down every time I go to say that because I'm just like priming myself to say something wrong. But yeah. So so let's get some house cleaning out of the way. We talk about movies, and you can find us in a whole bunch of places, such as
the internet.
Yeah, that's right, Ash. The internet. Now, we're pretty much everywhere, but also you can find us on Apple Podcasts. Go ahead and leave 5 stars if you like what we're talking about. I know we're not off to a strong start here, but
yeah, this is not our best.
But yeah, this is not our top content.
Inside jokes that our podcast listeners aren't in on. Like this is
yeah, inside jokes that we made like 20 minutes ago while we were like putting off recording. Like watching trailers and just being idiots and laughing about the alternate names for the Beatles. What did we have? We had John Legend, Paul McDonald's, George Harry, Ringo Bingo was his name-o, and George Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah, that was good. And then the fifth one, Yoko. Oh no.
Oh my God. Yeah. So that's great. We make all sorts of terrible jokes all throughout the show. That's part of it.
Yeah. Look forward to those.
Yeah. Cause it's not going to stop. We're on a roll tonight. It's not good. I'm actually kind of concerned. Whenever we have an episode like this, I like leave and I can tell my blood pressure is elevated from like laughing. You know, I have like a headache. I like can't see straight. And then
that's just the sound of my voice.
I wake up in a ditch on the side of the road. It's been weird. Yeah, this podcast gets very strange, but
you're a werewolf. You're for sure a werewolf. That's all that means.
That'd be so awesome. That would explain my ripped jeans. You know how werewolves always have cool ripped jeans and like everything?
Yeah. And does that mean because I have cutoffs, I'm the Hulk? More
yeah, sure. Yeah, more. These questions and more. Just bad news questions. So we like to start out by talking about even more completely unrelated stuff to the movie that we watched. We like to go through some of the movies that we've watched throughout the week that don't necessarily need their entirely own episode, but we would like to bring up anyway. Ash, did you watch anything interesting this week?
I sure did. I watched Underwater.
Oh, shit. We were talking about Underwater. I want to see it.
You know what's really good about it? Kristen Stewart doesn't act, except for one scene, and it's real bad. I'm going to spoil that one scene for you because I think it's really funny.
Oh, no. Well, whatever. I'm probably not going to see it anyway.
It's not like an important scene. She's like walking with another female character underwater because that's where the movie takes place. And she's like, wow, you really love him, don't you? And the girl's like, yeah. She's like, that's cool.
Wait, no way. That's a joke, right?
No,
she really says that's cool.
That's cool.
Dude, that's cool. She's fucking cool, dude. That's
so
awesome.
bad.
That was an ad lib.
It's crazy because like I see Kristen Stewart like get interviewed and like this is a human who I guess technically has empathy. Why is it so hard to pretend like she
she might be a robot.
She's a pretty deadpan person, but she's like not the level of sociopath that her acting makes her seem like she is. You know,
she gets typecast as like a loaf of bread. like a dead body.
She wasn't bad in this movie. She like just had to hyperventilate the whole time. I would say it's like Cloverfield meets Alien meets dead actor from or writer from the 20s. Yeah, for those of you who have seen the movie, wouldn't it have been cooler if she had said that thing from the book when she saw that thing, and instead of doing what they did?
Oh, interesting. So there is relation to something else that I don't know about, which is great. I think I am going to go and see Underwater. It looks fucking cool. I like the trailer. It looks like everything I like. Scariness, and it looks exactly like Alien. Like even the spacesuits or the underwater spacesuits that they were wearing looked exactly like the spacesuits.
They're like pretty on the nose, I feel like. And then TJ Miller's in it, and his character is that character who's like
TJ Miller. He's like, what the fuck, man? We're never getting out of here. Right?
Oh, so you want us to walk on the bottom of the fucking ocean? Cool.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, I know exactly. There's a scene where they're like trapped when the water's rising in the room, right?
Of course.
Yeah, okay, cool. Good. I just wanted to make sure I knew the end to this movie already. Great. So Underwater. There you go, guys. If you're thinking about going to see a movie, it could be Underwater. It seems like you can't really go wrong if you like water and you like I think it's
like an authentically good movie. It's like surprisingly good.
Cool.
Pretty.
Well, that's a great sign. I'm glad. Are you okay?
Yeah. I'm just going somewhere with a little less reverb.
Okay. We can edit this out, or we can leave it in.
Well, we can leave it in. They got to know how the sausage gets made.
Great. So, well, I'm glad you're able to find that less reverb position.
Yeah. What about you? What did you see this week?
So I decided to go. I don't know. Every couple months, I'll get back in this phase where I really just want to watch movies and play video games. You know, that phase when you're just like, I'm just going to put a movie on and I'm going to play a video game. And that's what I've been doing. I watched almost all of the Tremors movies, which, by the way, get exponentially worse.
Oh, they're so bad.
Dependent on the sequel. The first one, pretty fucking good, man. Like it's got like all these great elements of like the monster props look awesome. Like there's some of the practical effects look awesome. Like it's not, you can tell that it's like has a constrained budget, but they stretched it so far, and that the movie still holds up, and it looks like fine, and like it's kind of funny. It's kind of like it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's a good little adventure movie. It's kind of like Jaws. It's kind of like Jurassic Park a little bit in a couple ways. They get so much worse after that. So much worse. So Kevin Bacon stars in the first one, doesn't come back for the second one. Already the movie is 75% garbage now.
Yeah, it's not. I remember distinctly, we had this one like coach on my rowing team who got like some kind of sick fucking pleasure out of making us watch bad movies on the long bus rides. Yeah. Like it's super, just like a sick fuck. He was like fully 40 and like was getting off on it. Just jerking off on the bus. Just kidding about that last part. But he made us watch like the fourth Tremors movie.
Oh, dude. So basically the first one and the second one I think were legitimate theatrical releases. I'm pretty sure the second one was, because the second one starts out like kind of has some good ideas. There's no Kevin Bacon, but you still get the other guy. I forget what his name is. But then the movie just like descends into like very, very silly, like very campy, but it's not totally dissimilar from the first one in a lot of ways. So it's still got elements of fun in it. It's a little bit smaller of a scale. You could kind of tell that whoever was in charge of the production didn't know how to stretch that limited budget the way the whatever production team was involved for the first one. The third one is when they really start to go to shit, man. I swear to God. There's like bad CGI that probably looked better back in in 2000 or 2001, whenever it came out. But just like no name actors, except for the guy who plays Burt Gummer comes back. And I'm pretty certain that the third one and the fourth one are sci-fi original movies. And then all of them after that are, I'm pretty sure, directly to Netflix. So there you go.
So
honestly,
bad.
they're all bad, except for the first one, they're pretty much all bad. But man, if you're not paying attention, they are entertaining. Just because every time you look at the screen, it's going to be some other disgusting worm creature blowing up or something. I don't know. It's all just like garbage. It's like the junk food of movies. It's delicious, and you're going to regret it, but at least it feels good in the moment. So that's Tremors. That's my Tremors review for you right there.
That's the glowing review. Obviously, same quality. Have a good time, listeners, deciding between Underwater and the Tremors franchise.
At least give the first one a shot. Or just go see Underwater. Or
I'm going to open my own Tremors franchise, actually, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But that sounds like a fast food place that just makes you shit.
Yeah, well, no, it's so it's a fast food place, but the caveat is every single booth is rigged up to one of those earthquake machines. So you're just getting earthquaked while you eat, just vomit covered place.
2 parts fast food, 1 part theme park ride. Recipe for excellence.
Yeah. And we got 12 herbs and spices, so suck on a KFC. We found the 12th one in the whole world.
And that's the one that makes you poop.
Yeah, it's
those
X-Lax.
Those are the aftershocks. Tremors 2 aftershocks.
Oh, God.
Anyway. So that's what we watched this week. What else did we got going on, Ash?
Were we going to talk about this new Mutants trailer? We kind of got into it.
Let's do it.
So I saw the new Mutants trailer in the theaters and was like, what? Because I thought this movie was fucking canceled. #canceled.
I think everybody did.
Yeah.
We actually looked into it a little bit, and we found out that the production started in like early 2017, and it is just now being like wrapped up into post-production and finally being released after being delayed 4 times.
Yeah, of the movies that were delayed, it was this one, and then there was the Gambit movies starring Channing Tatum. Which I'm so glad they just fucking canceled that. That, if they bring that back, I'm gonna smack someone. I'm gonna go in. I
got a feeling they're not bringing that one back around. I don't think anybody wants that.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, but what's cool is that they didn't give up on this. I think it's probably because they spent $100 million during principal photography, and they were like, we have all this footage, we can't just scrap it now. They were too far in, and they were like, just keep delaying it. And so it's finally coming out fully, literally 3 years after it really even started being a thing, which is crazy. So that's a lot of delays. No reshoots apparently, but there were some re-edits, and we were reading that one of the biggest re-edits was to make sure that it was distinct from the Fox X-Men films. So no connections allowed to the Fox X-Men films, but neutral enough that Marvel could pick it up and put it in the MCU if it's good.
That's so shitty of them to do.
I get it.
I do get it, because obviously they didn't have any creative control over the process behind making this, but I don't know. What is that? Does that mean that none of these actors? Because I'd like to see Anya Taylor-Joy in a MCU role. I think she'd be fun. Not a main character, but a side character for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say at this point whether or not that's going to happen. Usually movies that get delayed like this and re-edited multiple times end up being a bit of a mess. But the trailer looks fun. It doesn't look like it's going to suck. No, so we'll just have to wait till it comes out.
I like that it is horror. I love that you were just why does this have a horror tone? That was your initial reaction to this.
Yeah, it does definitely look like a horror trailer, which I think is kind of cool. Apparently they're adding in Antonio Banderas as a different villain for a post-credit scene. It's just all this weird stuff.
What?
That's what I'm reading here.
You're making shit up now.
And so the reshoots. Oh, actually, I think the reshoots never ended up happening. But I think a big part of this was also the Fox acquisition.
Mm-hmm. That definitely helped delay things.
Yeah, because they weren't sure exactly what the state of the Fox X-Men movies were going to be. And this was, remember, before Dark Phoenix was the final nail in the coffin for that canon. So they were kind of like, what's going to happen? Maybe we should wait. And they wanted it to be distinct enough from those movies and distance far enough away that they wouldn't get lumped together and end up being, a double flop, if you will. So we'll see.
I think that's a lesson that, like, generally these, like, because the X-Men is just like people with mutations. There are fucking hundreds of X-Men like characters.
Yeah.
And the fact that they keep revisiting the same ones over and over again, like, it just got worse. Like, it got worse until Last Stand. Then they rebooted it. First Class was good, and it got progressively, like, a little more of a mess.
Yeah.
Because they got the new actors, and it was interesting again. And then it's like, just fucking, you just push out maybe 1-2 movies, and then move the fuck on. Like, you know,
man, that's not what happens anymore. That's not what people want anymore. They want, like, seriously, Marvel changed everything. Like, everything. It's no longer, like... It's no longer just enough to make a trilogy of movies or even just 2 movies. Like, the only one that escaped that was the Hellboy franchise. Like, they just made 2. They were both bangers. And then they were like, we're done.
No, because they rebooted it. And it was the worst thing I've ever fucking seen.
I legitimately keep forgetting about that
Hellboy
reboot.
was related to King Arthur. Like, we can't forget this.
That's bad.
It's real bad.
At least, like, that one killed itself off. It got itself out of the way. It jumped on the grenade for everybody.
God,
really taking one for the team.
I will say the kid who played Jonathan Byers, based on how like fucking emaciated he looks in this trailer, you know who he should have played? Morbius.
Which we also saw the trailer for.
Yeah. Did we talk about Morbius?
I can't remember. I think we talked about it last week.
Yeah. Looks fucking bad. Like, yeah, I'm so excited to see it.
Yeah, it's probably going to be pretty silly. So we'll I'm sure we're going to end up seeing that. We're probably going to end up seeing New Mutants too. So we got a spring lining up already for us.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're going to hit that fucking time of the year where we watch a lot of superheroes because they all come out at the same time. We're going to watch like maybe 5 or 6 in 3 months, and then we're going to hate ourselves.
Yeah, and then we're going to be exhausted.
Then we'll be done till the next year where we do the same fucking thing. At least they all come out at the same time of the year.
That's true. It's true.
Except for Dark Penis.
Yeah, exactly. Except for Dark Penis. Luckily, this January has been pretty, like, I don't know, like, void. What else are we seeing this month? Because, like...
The Color Out of Space.
Color Out of Space is cool. It's a weird release for a January movie.
Super
right?
Weird. But I think it's, like... relevant to a movie I saw this week. H.P. Lovecraft's material has become public domain.
Really?
I think we're going to see a big influx in that, and I think that means a return to form by Guillermo del Toro. I think that's...
I hope so. That'd be really cool.
It's one of his biggest influences, so I think that's going to definitely come about.
That would be really interesting. I would like to see that. So we'll just have to wait.
He pitched a movie a while ago for At the Mountains of Madness, which is a really great classic H.P. Lovecraft story, which is arguably the only one that's cinematic, but it got shot down for being too dark.
That sounds like a cop-out. That sounds like whoever it was being pitched to just didn't know what the source material was. They were just like, aren't the kids going to be scared? Is there a superhero?
Okay, but what if the Mountains of Madness had a guardian mountain man and he was cool?
Well, what if in the Mountains of Madness... What if in the Mountains of Madness was where the Justice League lived?
Yeah, isn't that where Superman has his hideout, the Mountains of Madness?
I think it is.
Oh, let's
and then he's just
Henry
like,
Cavill on the phone.
Get fucking Henry Cavill. He's like, please, for the love of God, get Henry Cavill on the phone.
And he just
hey, Henry, baby. We got a movie for you.
I grow tired of having so much power.
Yes. Sounds terrible. I can't wait to see it. So yeah. How about can we segue? Speaking of sleazy producers, can we segue into our budget breakdown for
of course, baby,
for the movie that we actually watched, which is Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck you. So I think my stinger is going to be, it's a bit early to be putting rolls on it.
This is the budget breakdown.
Oh man, I don't even know. I don't even remember that.
Yeah, from part 1, The Miracle of Birth.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The great moment where she's like, well, is it a boy or a girl? He's like, it's a bit early to be putting rolls on it.
All right, pretty good. Yeah,
Pretty good joke. That's for 83. Come on, that's woke as hell.
That's pretty forward thinking for 83. You're right.
And then I'll talk about how the opposite's true later.
Yeah.
So, Monty Python's The Meaning of Life came out in 1983 and had a production budget of $9 million US. Don't ask me what that is in Great British pesos.
Wow, that's actually a really small budget.
Super small.
That's a very small time. Interesting.
And the domestic box office in the United States, it made about $15 million. So it did make a net gain, but it didn't make a ton of
do
money.
well. Yeah. It was different times back then, right?
Yeah.
$15 million is still, that's still a flop in 83. If we can be real.
Well, I mean, so what is that? Like $7 million over production budget?
Yeah. I mean, they were able to pay everyone, so that's good news.
I mean,
Right.
they technically made money. I don't think that's a flop.
Yeah. And also, we're thinking that's what it made in the United States, but this is a British film.
Yeah, and
So.
I'm not sure if it was released in theaters.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Well,
that's weird. Why would we have... Yeah, let's see if we can figure that out.
Let me see if I can figure out.
I wonder if it was released in theaters after the fact. You know?
Yeah.
It was...
Oh, you know what? It wasn't released in the United States.
Until when?
Until it was on DVD.
Oh, wow. So interesting.
Oh, yeah. So I
it
think
made
this
that
is
much on
purely-
DVD.
Yeah. No.
That's pretty wild then.
The domestic box office refers to domestic box office in the Great United Kingdom.
Oh, okay. Wow. That was so...
Yeah, didn't do well.
That
there.
was so centric. Oh, man. Domestic? That means United States, right? How to do overseas in Britain. It's a British movie.
It's a British movie. But it does get compared to some American movies in a couple different categories.
Okay.
I'm going to let you choose. How about Da?
What?
Yeah,
Really?
I'm going to let you choose which one it's going to be. So there's the Easter Weekend, where it came in at 83rd, and that one has some really funny ones.
Okay.
And then 1983 movies, where it came in at number 47.
Oh, man. Let's just go 1983 movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know one of these for sure.
Yeah, I do. I don't. Give me a hint. Let's start with some hints. 83
right.
Specifically, I'm not totally sure about.
Okay, 83 specifically. The one where the kid licks the pole.
Oh, Christmas Story.
Exactly.
83. How did that do? Was that way up there?
No, not really.
Not really. But it was
36th. He made $20 million.
Okay. All right.
This one is the I think it's a Stephen King book about a dog.
About a dog. Oh, Cujo came out that year.
This movie is based on a anthology horror series.
Is it Creepshow?
No.
Damn. Anthology horror series.
The other one.
Oh my God. Just give me another.
Literally the most classic anthology TV show. Rod Serling at the front.
Oh, The Twilight Zone?
The Twilight Zone, the movie. Sequel to the most famous Hitchcock movie.
The Birds 2.
I love that that's the one you went with. No, this one is the movie it's a sequel to is the innovator of the MacGuffin in film.
The Maltese Falcon 2.
Psycho 2.
Oh, okay, cool. Woo! Wait, that's an innovator of the MacGuffin? Was the Maltese Falcon in that?
No.
Okay.
No. In Psycho, there's the whole MacGuffin of the girl trying to get away with the cash, and then immediately the car crashes and gets sunk into a swamp, and then that's why she's forced to stay at the Bates Motel. So that the MacGuffin is the money and taking the money and going on the run, and it's like this more abstract one that plays super well.
That ended up defining, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
This movie is gonna need a bigger dimension.
Jaws. No, that came out way earlier than that.
Yeah,
Jaws.
You're on the
Jaws 3D.
Yep, number 17.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great hint. I just want to give myself
that was a really, really good hint. Yeah. That was like you really spelled it out, but that was a good hint. We're gonna need another dimension.
Cocaine, guns, say hello.
Oh, Scarface?
Scarface.
Cool.
It's a fine movie. It's a movie that bros like. I don't really get it.
Honestly, I've never seen it. Never seen it. I can't say that anything about it really seems like my thing. I'm not really into like guns or the mob or cocaine, so it's like I'll pass.
This movie is relevant to Henry Cavill.
Superman 3 or something.
Yep, that's perfect.
Oh, really? I just threw a dart at the Superman dartboard.
The movie where they slide in their socks in tighty whities.
Oh, is it Risky Business?
Risky Business.
Yeah.
The funniest named James Bond movie.
Is it Octopussy?
Of course it's Octopussy. No, it's Dr. No. Like, come on.
Some of them are like, die again yesterday. Those ones in the 80s are really bad.
There's actually a movie that I've never seen on this list called Never Say Never Again.
That's a James Bond one. There's
really?
Yeah, the ones in the 80s with or maybe it's not. I don't know. The ones in the 80s with what's his face? The guy who wasn't Sean Connery or the guy after Sean Connery?
Pierce Brosnan?
No, Pierce Brosnan was the one in like the 90s before Daniel Craig. There was another guy, and I forget what his name is, but he's like the
Daniel
goofiest
Craig.
one. Yeah. No, it's not Daniel Craig. I forget what his name is, but he's really bad.
I figured out who it is. Sean Connery?
No, yeah, you got it, man.
I was just going to keep fucking going.
He's a really goofy dude, and now it's probably going to be Henry Cavill, right? Like, of course, who looks exactly like this guy. James Bonds.
Let me see what else I can get here while you're looking up the James Bonds. The one where the person sits in the chair and pulls the chain and the water comes down on them.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like where they sit in the chair and they're like wearing the clothes, and then they pull a chain, the water comes down on them, and they do the hair thing, and it's super sensual.
I for some reason I thought you were describing Chinese water torture.
No, that's one drop of water on the forehead.
Yeah.
But also while the hair is very sexy.
Yeah, man, I'm not totally sure.
Flashdance?
Man, I have no idea what that is.
Okay.
Sorry, all you Flashdance fans that are listening.
Star Wars. It might be a completely different movie. I might be just wrong. It's always possible when we do these games, and I don't give that disclaimer. This movie. Oh man, I mean,
come on, you got it. Do it. Oh, it's Return of the Jedi.
It is Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. I was gonna guess that. Yeah.
How did you not?
I couldn't remember if that was 82 or 83.
Yeah,
also, Timothy Dalton is his name. I just want to say
Timothy Chalamet, of course.
Yes, Timothy Dalton was that one James Bond who was like a total goofy looking dude. It's like really silly. I think he's the one that was in Octopussy. But let me verify that. Let me verify that 100%. Give me one sec. Come on.
You think I would remember my favorite
Damn it.
movie,
It wasn't.
Octopussy.
It was Roger Moore that was
Roger
Octopussy.
Moore. Roger Moore sounds like a porn name. And it's to be an Octopussy. Not good.
Yeah.
Bad.
What do you think the porn parody of Octopussy was called?
Octocock. Did I come up with that too quickly?
That was too fast. That's probably real.
What about, or would it be like Octogina? Or it could be a lot of things.
Let's stop. Let's move on.
Wait, no.
I don't like where this is going.
Vulva pussy?
All right. All right. What's the next? Give me one more, and then we're gonna.
That was like fucking all of them.
Oh, really? I got them all that quick? I did good this time.
Yeah, we could go into Easter openings if you wanted to get a couple.
Nah, I won't be able to figure that out. That's too specific. I know years, but like as far as specific months and like time frames goes,
Like,
that's when I totally break down.
I mean, come on, it had Project X, Dragon Ball Evolution,
Oh man,
Haunted House 2, The
those are some pretty
Soundlot,
funny bad ones.
Babe,
All right,
Bulletproof Monk,
so
The Alamo.
stop. So I think we're at that point. Let's take a short break. I want to grab some more water, and then come back and we'll start with our expectations.
Okay, let's get it. So it turns out the name for the porn parody of Octopus is actually just Citizen Kane.
Oh wow, incredible facts learned again. Once again, here on For the Story, telling you guys information that is 100% factual. Tell your teachers, kids.
Yeah. Your teacher's like, we're gonna watch Citizen Kane this week. You tell your parents.
Octopussy.
You tell your parents so they can get that teacher fucking fired.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what we support. God damn.
Yeah, really, we're super anti-teacher, you know, underpaid civil servants.
One of the most important jobs.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Get them fired. Classic. Well,
just good guys.
Glad we got to have that experience together. I'm glad that we can bring it all together, and we can start talking about some expectations that we had for Monty Python and
Monty Python's The Meaning of Life.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Monty Python and the Life of Brian.
Yep,
also a good one.
It's another one. So Ash, you've seen this movie a couple times.
Oh yeah.
What did you expect going into it on your 7th viewing?
So I just want to give a little bit of context. I got into Monty Python pretty young for my age group because my parents were like, my dad was like, this is comedy. And I started out with The Flying Circus, which is their TV show, which was cool because it was funny, but also had boobs. And I was like 9. So I was like, ooh. And, you know, I saw The Holy Grail really early. And then there was that whole like time when like kids were quoting it way too much.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I gotta watch another one of these just to like have a leg up on these little shits. Like,
yeah, of course.
And so this became quickly my favorite one. It's it's something I've revisited a couple times since I was 12. Always, there's a certain part of it that just I always forget is there in this movie, and I never remember how it ends. There are just certain motifs that I remember. So it's gonna be a good refresher. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, pretty medium
Very
expectations because it's like I probably haven't seen it since I was 17.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute. It's been like really some time.
Nearly a decade.
Wow, that's pretty cool then.
Yeah. What about you?
Cool. Well,
You've never seen this movie. It was one of my recommendations. I just shit on a movie you liked. What were you thinking?
So I came from a completely different background. I saw The Holy Grail at a young age. Mm-hmm. But I only ever saw The Holy Grail.
Oh, you're missing
and I was one of those little shits that would always quote it, right?
We wouldn't have been friends if we hadn't met the time we did.
I don't think so. I don't think anybody... I didn't have a lot of friends for a while. And I chilled out a lot. But, yeah. No, that's just what my mom told me.
Listen, you little shit. You don't have many friends.
It's because you keep quoting. It's because you keep quoting. I don't know why my mom sounds like that. She's a very nice lady. Mom, I love you. But no, I was one of those kids who would quote the Holy Grail and would like get the quotes wrong.
It's even worse.
You know exactly what I mean, right?
Yeah.
And so I never saw any of them ever. Just ever. I think I tried to watch Life of Brian.
That one's a hard one.
Yeah, and I just didn't fucking get it. And I was young too. I would have been like 11 at the oldest. And I just didn't get it. Yeah. And the only things that I thought were funny in the Holy Grail were some of the more meme moments, mm-hmm. Like holy hand grenade moments and stuff like that. Yeah. And because that's what was funny. And the Killer Bunny, like that's funny.
Yeah, Black Knight.
It's ridiculous and funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Black Knight for sure. Definitely Knights Who Say Knee. So that was the stuff that I remembered. None of the like finer, more dry pieces of humor that are in any of those movies. But so my expectations going into this, I don't know. I think they were a little soured because you had just shit on a movie that I love. But I tried to make it as blank of a slate as possible. So I tried to go into it being like, it's probably going to be fine. Right? Like I'm probably going to get some level of enjoyment out of it. And I'd say that's pretty fair. Yeah, I mean, like I wasn't expecting my mind to be blown.
Oh no.
I did know that it was going to partially be a musical, which
that's what Monty Python does. They literally before. They wrote a musical. It's on Broadway still.
And so I knew it was going to be a musical. So I was like a little like not excited for that. There's something about music and comedy that when they're put together, like the comedy just isn't as funny and the music isn't as good. So it just ends up being like bland. And like they keep repeating like the joke chorus over and over. And I just don't think it's funny. Oh. But we can talk about that.
Because it's my number one pro is the music.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And I'll explain to you exactly why, and I will learn you about why. There are two songs in particular that are just perfect.
Okay, well let's get into it then.
All right.
That's a great, excellent way to get into our pros here. I want you to know I didn't hate this movie before we even start anything. I didn't hate this movie. It's nice. I don't like musical comedy. But let's start. Ash, hit me with some pros.
All right, number one. Every sperm is sacred. Every sperm is good. Every sperm is needed in your neighborhood. This song, I think one of the gems of like British comedy, especially in this era. For those who haven't seen the movie, essentially the setup is guy comes home, he's lost his job at the factory, his house is full of fucking kids, and he's like, sorry, I got laid off. from the factory. I have to sell you all for medical experiments. And they're like, why? And he's like, well, I'm Catholic. So every time I fuck, I have to have a baby. Then they go into a song about how every sperm is sacred, and there are fucking small children who have to sing this song. Let the heathen spill theirs on the dusty ground. God shall make them pay for every sperm that can't be found, by a 6-year-old. And it just devolves into this nonsense. I love that bit. I also really like the bit where the guy's like trying to fuck the girl who, well, it's one of the Monty Python guys, but he's trying to fuck her right after her husband has a live organ transplant, and he just pulls, he pulls Eric Idle out of the fucking fridge to sing a song about how she's insignificant in the universe to convince her to sleep with him. I think that is such a funny premise. It's also a good song.
So I do want to say, especially when you're talking about when like the guy's explaining to the kids, all of like the dry, just they're standing there talking scenes, I found were the funniest parts of the movie. I just don't like when it turns into music. It's like all of those were definitely highlights, you know, him talking to the kids and being like, I have to sell you off as medical experiments. Or like when like the guy who lost the leg when they're at, like in Africa, like battling someone, which that's some British thing I don't know too much about. But and like the officers are like going into their tent and like making drinks while the guys are out there like fighting to the death. Yeah, like that shit's hilarious to me, and that was some of the best stuff. But it's just the music. I find that like, even though I know like the premise is funny of every sperm is sacred, like it's just when they're repeating it over and over again, it's like I get the joke once and then it just keeps going for another 3 minutes, the same joke. My
argument
just can't get into it.
It's kind of just they're taking the stylistic like nature of a musical song from like Oliver Twist or another classic musical like that, and they're turning it on its head by just making it like, well, not only are they going to keep saying this thing about cum, they're also going to just bring in more and more people and just have like fucking like a Chinese dragon in the back. You know, it's like taking it to the absurd level.
I do like that a lot. This movie did really well, was taking something and starting it out like what looked like a mundane situation, and then over the course of the sketch, like amplifying it to this absurd degree, which I thought like, and they kept going with it and going. Like a good example is I actually think this sketch was kind of gross and like uncomfortable, but the teacher one where all the boys are like sitting in class and like it's like you think he like gets into it, he's just like, now did I talk about the vaginal juices or something like that, and then like and I was like, it's just gonna go like this and then like it's gonna get weird and then it's gonna end. But when he steps back and pulls a bed down from the chalkboard, it's like, oh my god,
because then they just start having like casual conversation. I think that,
and he's like telling the kids like while he's having sex, telling them like, leave it up at the desk, Johnny, or like whatever he says. It's fucking weird and like so disgusting, and I just like watching them slowly undress while he's teaching a class. Fucking great.
I also love how they lead in to that scene where it's like they're all like taking notes and reading, and then they're like, the teacher's coming, and they start just throwing a fucking tantrum,
like, fucking off. Yeah, like moments like that were what made this movie funny. That's the comedy that I really, really like from Monty Python. Is like just the amplification of something like mundane, turning it into something absurd. This reminded me, and it's kind of just coming to me now, but have you ever seen Hot Shots Part Duh?
No. Listen to the name of that. Of course I haven't.
Hot Shots Part Duh, and it has
changing the name.
Part Duh. It's supposed to be 2 in French, which is like duh. if you're a dumb American like me. Like, but Charlie Sheen's in it, right?
All right.
It's kind of like it's one of those jokes where it's like he'll be like battling someone and like spinning swords around, and then it'll come back and he'll be like throwing them up in the air, and then it'll cut back and he'll be juggling chainsaws that are on fire, and it just like every time you cut back to a character, it'll be like raised ridiculousness really quickly. Like as soon as you notice that you'll like barely be processing the last ridiculous thing, and then it'll cut back and it'll be doing something more ridiculous. It reminded me of that in a lot of ways, where it's like you don't think it's going to keep going, and then all of a sudden he's pulling a bed down from the chalkboard.
Oh yeah.
Loved that.
And that's just kind of
fucking hilarious.
their style. Like I think that they also exemplified in God, which sketch was it? It was not the throwing up one.
Oh God, man.
That one was
I want to talk about
that one was too much.
That one was yeah. Well, we'll talk about that.
The one where the Hawaiian restaurant with a medieval dungeon feel. That whole scene.
Oh yeah,
I think that's
I didn't really get that. I like didn't follow that one very well.
So banal. It was like two like people. It was like they were ordering conversations and they chose philosophy and they had to discuss like and they had no idea what they were talking about. They're like, philosopher's names just start in S, right? And they're like, well, what about this person? Yeah. And he's like, oh, and this is just so sad and just like kind of pathetic, you know. They were kind of making fun of Americans, but it's fine.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I know they did that a lot. All of the Americans in this are very clearly British people that put on an American accent, which I kind of like seeing because it's like you always see American people put on British accents, but seeing the reverse is like so weird.
I mean,
isn't it?
Yeah, especially like in the context where you like just saw the same actor in the previous scene doing a British accent, because it's not like, you know, we have fucking like James McAvoy and like all these people like Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah. They do play Americans, but seeing it juxtaposed so quickly and how easily they can switch between the two, it's like, it's wild.
I gotta be honest, my the version of the movie that I was watching was so low resolution, I couldn't recognize any of the actors. It felt like new, like just insane amounts of actors just between every sketch. I was like, how many fucking people worked on this? Because it was so low resolution, and that kind of stands to their personal acting abilities as well.
Yeah,
if they can, you know, fool me at 360p, you know, I think it's not too bad, right?
They also do like pretty respectful, like mundane drag. Like that's like a big thing they do a lot, where it's just like, yep, that woman's just one of the actors, and it's like kind of just
I have something to say about that in my comments.
Oh, I have something to say similarly about a similar thing that happens in the movie. But what did you think about the opening short?
Dude, I didn't get it. I was like, man, what is this? I thought that was the movie, and that was supposed to be part of the meaning of life. I was like, is this gonna be like too heady for me or some shit, and I'm gonna get irritated?
I think that's the whole joke. Like it always surprises me that that's at the beginning of that movie. I'm like, wait, am I watching the right movie?
Yeah, they come back to it in the middle of the movie later too.
Yeah, very.
There's like
weird.
A brief thing where you see it from the great big very American corporation or something like that. And you see, like, as they get attacked.
Yeah, and they're, like, discussing things, and they're like, what were you working on? The meaning of life? And they're like, yeah, here's this philosophical stuff, but then we always get distracted. Oh, what did you say about the boat thing? It's just great.
No, they were talking about hats. Like, people aren't wearing enough hats.
People aren't wearing enough hats.
Yeah, that was really good. I really liked the dry parts. That kind of humor is really funny to me. Mm-hmm. But that thing at the beginning, I was just like, what the fuck is this? It seemed like it really out of place, and it seemed like unnecessary. Like I got the joke. It's like, we're the Brits and we're coming for you or something.
It was like a communist revolution by old workers.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
It was like crazy. Like it just the fact that they even like it's just in the 80s. That's just like all this stuff is so weird to put into an actual movie.
Oh yeah, especially in the 80s. That's like pretty forward thinking for like nowadays.
Yeah,
you know, it's just like down with very big American corporation. But in the 80s, dude, you like that was cool, especially in the United States. You wanted to be part of the very big American corporation, to be rich, and you liked Ronald Reagan.
Oh man, Robert Reagan. What's his name again?
Yeah, Ronald Regency. Ronald McReagan, yeah. Anyway, let's keep moving. I don't want to talk about Ronald Reagan. But yeah, man, I like there's some good stuff. Let me see if I wrote anything else down, because I think I had something else to talk about. Definitely increasing levels of ridiculous. I liked that it's kind of like an anthology. This is kind of a dual-edged sword for me, which I'll talk about in my cons too.
Same for me. I know what you're referring to, and it's definitely a mixed bag. Like
so it's like it was broken down into pretty digestible chunks, right? So
except for the one where he's throwing up a lot. Anyway.
Oh my God, man. For the most part, it was like as soon as you're getting sick of something, it moved on into the next part, right? Like pretty much just in general. It was like as soon as you were done with that, as soon as they had squeezed enough humor out of it, they like rolled it into a new one. The only thing that I didn't fucking understand was the middle part of the movie.
Like which parts? Which parts of the meaning?
The
of
fishy McTwister. What were they saying?
Where my fish go?
I didn't get that.
That was all about. That was about the realization of death.
Oh,
because
I didn't pick up on that. Yeah, sorry.
This movie's so fucking esoteric. It's
yeah. Well, what else do we have here? You know, there's some like really, really good parts.
There's of course live organ transplants.
Oh my God. I loved that. They were like, we're going to need your liver. And he's just like, I'm using it.
There were some like cool body stuff that they did. Cause like Terry Gilliam's like a fucking genius when it comes to that shit. During the Anglo-Zulu War, there was one where the guy taps the guy on the shoulder and he like crumbles into like distinct pieces of clay, like he was cut diagonally. I don't know if you remember that shot in particular.
What?
Yeah,
I don't remember that at all.
Oh, it was like so after they're like done talking in the tent, they walk out and like Eric Idle's leaning on the thing. He's like, "Oh yes, sir, of course, sir. If I killed 15 people. If I did that in England, I'd be in prison. But here they get a fucking medal." Oh, and they like tap one of these guys who's like, "Oh, good job," because they're just ignoring the fact that everyone's fucking dead, and the body falls apart in this really cool way. And like they do have like the capability of doing cool body stuff when Britain wasn't really on top of all of that kind of stuff. Like they weren't competing there.
On top of all that kind of stuff? Like, what do you mean?
Like I guess they weren't on the top of the market in terms of like body horror or like, you know, that kind of
anything really like that, I guess, huh?
Yeah, they just weren't in the
very
market. Very
interesting. Yeah, that was all coming out of the U.S. The good old U.S. of A.
Murder, sir.
Yeah, man. Like, yeah, it's just like I love the parts of this movie where it was just dry and they were just talking and saying weird shit, which is such a vague thing to say about this, but
it's true.
It's just like that was the best. Just like the really quick thrown away jokes that like it comes and then it's gone, and then they're on to the next joke. Like when they get the machine that goes or whatever,
the machine that goes bing.
Yeah, the machine that goes bing, and they're like like the director or somebody was coming in, the director of the hospital, I don't know.
Yeah, the hospital
administrator. So they're like, turn everything on, quick! Because they need to make sure that it's all being used so that he buys more stuff or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good.
That was so good. And then they have that throwaway line of like he takes the fucking machete to chop the umbilical cord, shows like the baby to him, puts it away. The mother's just like, well, is it a boy or a girl? A little bit early to be putting rolls on it. Like, yeah, just like these.
I noticed that too.
Little great moments. I mean, like I'm a big fan of sketch, and like a lot of people who know me know that about me is I do love sketch, and this is very much laid out like a sketch TV show in an hour 48 long format.
Oh yeah,
which is good and bad, but like the willingness to do that is not something you see. Period.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I found myself repeatedly reminded of the Mighty Boosh a lot. I also found myself, you're going to think this is a little weird, repeatedly reminded of Tim and Eric a little bit. The way that like things would just escalate, like start out in the mundane and then escalate and go down this like weird path where something that is just like a weird throwaway line would define the latter half of the sketch. Oh, yeah. That's something that Tim and Eric do too. But I think Tim and Eric take a lot of influence from the Mighty Boosh, probably in some ways. They're pretty similar, unless they were around the same time. Maybe I'm getting my
I'm trying to
temporal
like I always mix up when the Mighty Boosh and when whatchamacallit, and when Monty Python were around. Like, which one came first? Were they the same time?
Definitely Mighty Boosh was like either late 90s to mid 2000s or just all early mid 2000s.
Oh, okay. Because Monty Python's from
Monty
the
Python
60s.
was definitely around. Yeah, Monty Python was definitely around way before that. Yeah. And I would say they're probably really influential to a lot. I'm sure there are more comedy duos. Mighty Boosh is just the one that comes to mind, but they also have this weirdo like very British sense of humor with like mixed with some like kind of surrealist like art and stuff, which is it's just like, and like basically they're taking what Monty Python did and they ran with it.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a really good format, and I think it lasted for a really long time in general.
Oh yeah. It's still around, like it has to be.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like modern examples, because now it's like it's gone. Like, I feel like comedy's gone in such a surrealist direction.
Yeah, I'd say probably the closest modern example probably is something like Tim and Eric.
Yeah, Tim and Eric.
Even this had like those elements of the just insane gross out humor just for the sake of being disgusting and ridiculous. Like seriously, like the Meaning Life, that entire barf scene was awful.
Yeah. And, I remember hating that when I was younger.
And it's almost like so absurd, and like none of it has any like weight on anything. Like it doesn't really mean anything other than kind of to be gross, and that's kind of what Tim and Eric do. But it's hard to say that they're a direct, descendant of something like this. But they probably had some influence with it or from it at some point in their lives. So pretty interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
What else do we think here, Ash? Are we ready to transit our way into those that cons section?
Yeah, I'm totally down to get into some cons, because there are some definite cons about this movie. Not as good as I remember it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you want to expound? You want to start, or should I start?
Yeah. So blackface is gonna be my number one con.
Oh,
there was just straight up blackface. Like, it's like, I don't want to diminish, like, pretty minor, because none of the people like have like actual talking roles, but it's just like there is straight up blackface in this movie.
Yeah,
pretty late for blackface.
Yeah. And it's not really even like trying to make a satirical point.
No,
it's just blackface.
Yeah, it's just like, we need black people. Apparently there are no black people in all the British Isles in 1983.
Yeah. It's interesting because I noticed that too. And one thing that's funny is, like, the most recent example that everyone can think of blackface is Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder, but it's been kind of forgiven because it was intentionally supposed to be like satirical, like saying like, you don't want to do this.
Yeah. It's like mocking the person who would make that decision in a capacity.
Exactly. And that's why it's kind of like given a pass. Also, it's just straight up fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
So people were just like, it's funny enough. I mean, it's still not really cool. I don't think you could get away with it nowadays.
You'd have to have a more solidified like social message with it, I think, than what the movie actually had. But
yeah, and in Monty Python, there was no satirical backing behind any of that. There just was, I guess, not enough black actors to pick from, so they just painted people black.
God damn it.
Which is pretty uncool. But I mean,
it's also so obvious. Like, they're barely on screen, but you're like, oh, that's just a guy in blackface that just like shot across my fucking screen.
Yeah. So definitely not the coolest part, but there you go. I don't know. There's one thing I definitely want to talk about, and I think we touched on it a little bit earlier. I don't know if I'm just not fun, or maybe I'm just not fun.
Yeah.
I don't think the man in a dress joke is funny at all. I just don't think it's funny.
Yeah.
I just don't see any, like, I just don't get it. You mentioned mundane drag, which I think is interesting, and I think we're referring to the same thing. But it's just like, when it's clearly like a man in a dress, I don't know. I can't even put words to it. I just don't. I think it's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is they don't really use a lot of girls, they mostly dress up. They play all the characters like these 5 dudes, right?
Yeah.
So they have to play the women sometimes. And I think that it's really like, it's definitely a contrast when you look at like, you know, the history of drag in Britain, like with comedians like Eddie Izzard, and just drag in America in general, you know, all those people. Right. On RuPaul's Drag Race and all the amazing talented, you know, drag people in lots of different major cities. But like just the idea of just like, I'm dressed up as like kind of a frumpy housewife, and I'm just a foil character, because it's like they're putting on a voice, but I don't feel as though they're like doing much. They're just kind of playing foil to another character, which is like, I guess, problematic. But like, I like the whole exchange between what's his name, Graham, and Eric Idle, where Graham is talking about how he could go out and buy a condom whenever the fuck he wants, and Eric Idle's just like,
enjoyable scene.
Yeah, just like a great scene. And I just think that like it is so mundane. It is not like really, it's just not, they're like, it's perfectly inoffensive for what it is from when it was, I feel like.
Okay.
Like, because like with that kind of stuff, like you could just like take it a really bad way, I feel like. And I just feel like always it's just kind of just like another character, and I have a respect for that level of tact.
I guess the direction that I saw it in, and I want to paint a picture for you. All right, I'm gonna take you back. I work at a bar, so I see lots of bachelor parties come through, and you would be like shocked at the amount of bachelor parties that come through 6th Street in Austin, Texas, that their whole thing, they just decide we're all going to wear dresses. Like, so it's one thing if like you're a drag racer. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say there. Not like someone who drives cars, but you're a man who dresses up with like flashy makeup. And it's like your art, and it's what you do, and you're passionate. And there's another thing when you're just like, haha, it's funny because it's gay. We're all going to wear dresses.
It's funny because it's woman.
Yeah, exactly. And so like, what? You can't wear a dress, dude? Are you gay? It's like, what?
What?
And that, I was getting like flashes of that from this. But when you put it the way you did, it's like, you're right. It's not really like that. Like, they are just being another character.
Yeah, like the joke isn't that they're a woman. Like that's just, I guess, not the way I see it.
Yeah. I guess like I saw it and was immediately just getting flashbacks of like that kind of thing, and being like, oh, it just hit this part of my brain where I was like, oh, this is like mean spirited, because like with those bachelor parties, like that's the whole thing, is they're all like, we're all so manly, we don't care if we wear dresses. But it's just like stupid. Yeah. It's just like, sure, man, like go ahead and wear a dress,
but also don't make such a big fucking deal out of it. You know?
Yeah, it's just like, yeah. And if there was one guy at the party who didn't wear the dress, everyone's going to try to gang up on him. And then you have to be like, you guys are all wearing dresses, you fucking morons. It's like,
it's not just a good article of clothing. I've worn dresses. They suck. Like they have no pockets. They ride up really far. It's very revealing. It's not fun.
Yeah, it's just like I was getting these flashbacks of something way more mean-spirited than it was probably made out to be. But
to be fair, Monty Python definitely has sketches like that. They just weren't really present in this movie, because they're, you know, when you make 1,000 sketches, they're not always going to be winners.
Yeah, it's just like the joke of, you know, he's a man, or it's like this woman who's really just a man dressed up as an ugly woman. Yeah. You know, it's just like, I don't know, something about it just like the joke isn't landing for me.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly reasonable. I don't think that's like unfair.
I don't think that's necessarily what they were trying to do here, but I did get some of those vibes at some times. So that's just what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
It was a more mean-spirited, because it's not like they were dressing up. Like the whole idea with drag is that it's glamorous.
They did have drag though in the fishy scene.
Oh yeah! Oh my!
That was glam.
Let's talk about my con for the movie. That fishy scene. I was like, that was like when I was just like shaking my head, like, nah, man, like this is just nonsense. Like, That was the part where I was just like, I got some cons. I like opened up OneNote. So that was it, man. And I know that's the picture you used for the Instagram, and I recognized it immediately. I was like, oh.
I just
knows
think
already.
The placement of it's so good. They go from like grilling those guys about what is clearly their fetish to dress up like half of it, like as tigers and fuck, with find the fish.
Yeah, that scene's so good. They're like making up all these ridiculous reasons why they're dressed up as tigers. They're like, look in the thicket. So good. Oh my God, I fucking love it.
Oh my God.
Well, hell yeah. Hell yeah. One other thing I noticed, here's a con. There's an American lady, or it's really a British woman who's dressed up as an American woman. I don't know why. She's supposed to be an American woman, and she says Happy Christmas. Some fucking bullshit. Do your research, Monty Python.
You idiots.
There's a con. Minus 15 points.
It's a negative 5 now. Sweet. That means it was a 10 before. Yeah, I think have we kind of hit our points? I mean,
I think so.
We've talked about how we didn't like the throw up scene, and I don't really want to expand upon that.
Yeah, let's give a brief overview of it. I mean, it's pretty clear why we don't like it. It's pretty much just disgusting. But this guy who's dressed up as a ridiculously enormously fat man, like just think of what you think a ridiculously enormously fat person looks like, and then make it cartoonish.
A fatter version of James Corden and Cats.
Oh my God. Yeah, honestly,
that is the costume.
Spot on. Honestly, spot on. And
just the body shape that they gave it.
It's so disgusting. Who the whole joke is that it's a fancy restaurant, and like the waiter's coming up and being like, "Would you like this, sir?" And he's barfing everywhere, just all over everybody, all over the cleaning lady, all over the waiters, and then the waiter feeds him one last single wafer, which is apparently the straw that broke the camel's back, and the enormous fat man blows up, and you see his insides. And that scene was gross and not that funny. So
no, it wasn't that
just
funny.
Wasn't into it. Yeah,
I did. That's not my kind of humor. I don't like bodily
not
function
at all.
humor. Really?
Yeah. It's just like nobody, like, for one thing, like nobody vomits in like a line like that. It's just so. It was just. It didn't need to be in there. It's just like everything else in this movie kind of had like some like smarter humor about it, and that was just surprisingly dumb humor for what I had been watching.
Yeah.
So yeah, there it is. Definitely, probably that's like the only segment in this that I legitimately didn't enjoy. I think everything else I was either like what the fuck or just like okay, it's a musical, time to end.
Yeah, I think that kind of really well like demonstrates. Like the balance that the sketch comedy platform offers to like a movie like this, which is like, yeah, because you change so much, they're not all going to be hits. But even if something's not a hit, it is going to change and become like a different sketch. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't have to follow Barfing Guy's family afterwards. Like, it didn't fucking matter. It just
exactly.
ended.
Yeah, it was like a revolving door. Mm-hmm. You know. It's like it's one sketch's turn and it gets out and another one gets in. You know what I mean? And then, it's like you said, as soon as like the bad one that you just weren't enjoying, like pretty much as soon as you're just sick of it, it's the next one's turn, which is thank goodness.
Especially for this kind of comedy.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. Like that's the thing that like I really like Tim and Eric, but Tim and Eric do barf scenes that are somehow funnier than that. You know, like they do it in a way, as ridiculous as it sounds, tasteful barf scenes. Yeah. So I don't know. It seemed gross. Maybe it was like shocking. They're trying to do like a shock and awe thing. You can think of like 1983. There probably was never anything like that. And then they did it again in The Nutty Professor, didn't they? Oh, wasn't there a thing in The Nutty Professor where he eats a whole bunch of food and blows up?
What about Norbit?
Yeah, I think that might have been Norbit. Yeah, I think you might be right. I honestly, I can't remember. I'm just pretty certain that they did that again in The Nutty Professor, the exact same thing. But I could be wrong. I barely remember that movie. I don't even think I've seen it. But yeah. No. So that's it. I think that's all my cons. That's really the biggest things that stood out as negatives.
Yeah, I think they're all pretty fair too.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, do you wanna bring us in, fly us in on home, and wrap this one up for us, Ash?
Yeah, sure. Oh Lord, you're so big. A quote from the prayer in the film. Just fuck it.
Okay.
I like this movie a lot still. I think it's pretty smart. I would say, like, don't watch this. Watch Monty Python's Flying Circus. It's way better. The TV show's great. There's an episode called Johann Gambleputty, which was the first one I ever watched, and it's still one of my favorites. It involves a composer with a name that's way too long, like fully 3 minutes to say it, and it's great.
Wow.
And like a chocolate shop that has chocolates that kill you. There's a lot of really great sketches in it. So yeah, I recommend that over this movie. I still like this movie a lot. It has a place in my heart. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
That's good, man. That's good.
It was so hard.
It's a fair score.
It was just too fair.
That's too fair. You got to be as objective as possible. Although nostalgia can creep its way, and I think that's totally fair.
It's probably a 5, but it gets a 7.
So my 5 words here are smart humor, except the barf, because that's exactly how I feel about this movie. So much of it is actually like really, really well written and well performed until like that barf scene that comes out of nowhere. That's just not really funny. And which is unfortunate. And like you can see exactly where it's going as soon as that enormous fat guy walks in the scene. You're like, oh, I get the joke. And so I didn't like that personally. But almost everything else, except for some of the musical numbers, which I felt dragged on, but that's a personal preference. I think, if left up to subjectivity, I would be like, let's not add those in, but that's just me. I'm going to give this movie a healthy 6 out of 10 because I do think that everything except for like a few segments was, well executed. Well executed, very funny in like short bursts, and then some nonsense, something gross, a music number, and then something really funny, and then just some more nonsense. It was like lots of peaks and valleys.
It had
here.
A little something for anyone, I think.
Yeah, I think it definitely appeals to a specific sense of humor. But again, like one of its biggest strengths is that if you aren't into the sketch, just wait a few minutes and it'll be on to the next one. So yeah, and it came in at like an hour and 45 minutes, which is like a great length for something like this. So yeah, there it is.
There it is. We did it. Next week.
We talked.
Oh.
Yeah, what are we watching next week?
The Color Out of Space.
Ooh, that's coming out so soon. I'm so excited.
I think, I'm probably going to see it this fucking weekend. You better start scouting it out, dude. It's a limited release.
Yeah, I'm going to look into that once we're out of here. But, yeah, let's see if I can find it. If not, we'll think of something else. We always think of something.
We're resourceful.
Yeah, we are. So cool. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Catch us this Saturday. We're going to be doing another Diablo 3 stream. We've been doing that, and the last one got pretty funny. We just kind of like
600 minutes.
Oh my god, yeah. There's some good jokes in there that we just kept going through. And by the end of the show, it's just like 1:30 in the morning, and we're just like making nonsense. It's great. We loved it.
Yeah,
it's fun to have like a game to laugh at like while we're talking. So so that's really good. We're gonna try to keep making that kind of stuff for you guys. It's also up on YouTube, or you could check us out at twitch.tv/battleslap. That link will be in the description for this podcast. But everything also goes up on YouTube. That's on the For the Story YouTube page as well. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening and hanging out with us. And we love you all so much. Goodbye.
Oh, fishy, 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 fish. And it went wherever I did go.